Okay, preparing to stream the meeting. We're getting a little further here, Jalal.
Cool.
Line's going. Done. Okay, preparing to stream we are the meeting. Okay, sweet. We did it. So, Michael, we're live on YouTube also. And
Wow.
beware.
Yes, thousands of people will be watching.
At least a dozen. 8. So I'll introduce you guys. So this is Jalal. This is Michael. He is a guitar player who plays with the Dances of Universal Peace, and we just
Cool.
had a lovely time playing together in Mexico.
Nice. How long
Yeah.
were you guys there for?
In Puerto Morales, we were there for a week.
Okay. How do you guys gather people up? Like, how do you advertise over there?
It's like there's this Colorado crowd that's been doing it for like what 20, 30 years, but there's a whole dance network that you can find it on. So how did you
Yeah.
find it, Michael?
Well, we subscribe to leaders' newsletters, follow Facebook. Those are our two main sources.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you can picture this big circle of like what was it, 60, 70 people. And
Mhm.
Michael's really tall.
Mm.
And he's playing the guitar and I'm playing the drums. So it's like for day after day after day, we're like in the middle of the circle. Everyone dancing around it.
Wonderful energy.
Yeah, yeah. And me feeding Michael chords here.
Mhm. Well, I'm curious, Michael, what's your experience with it? You said wonderful energy. Well, go into that more. Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Dances for me, I experience it largely through the music. As a musician playing for the dances and supporting the singers and the leader. To me, it's a form of a meditative practice for me, and it also has a very strong spiritual component to it as well.
Mhm.
But it's a place where we can be very much present with each other and in tune with each other
Mm.
as a group, and the individuals, immediately to your left and your right. It's a
Mhm.
great way to connect and reconnect with people.
Does it feel mystical?
I don't know what mystical feels like.
Okay. Yeah,
I'd
it's a weird label.
yes. It's definitely magical.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that it has many people have told me it has a mystical component to it. Um,
Well,
but yes, and to me, the magic is just in the very strong connections in the moment you get with the people around
mm,
you.
nice.
I
And
think
you've been playing guitar for how long now?
Playing guitar for 40 years, playing for the dances for about 8 years.
Nice, nice. Oh, so
mhm.
you guys been doing this with each other for a while now. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And his wife, girlfriend is a
Wife
dance wife.
and girlfriend, yeah.
Is a dance leader too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So they make a good team.
Nice.
Yeah. So Michael, this is Jalal, and he is a student up at Waterloo College, right?
Yeah,
In
University of Waterloo. Yeah,
in Canada. And he is studying uh
psychology.
Yeah, psychology, but anthropology. You say it.
Evolutionary psychology.
Evolutionary psychology.
Evolutionary psychology.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Or at least that's my big interest. Right. So
And tell me a little bit about evolutionary psychology and how that and your interest in it.
oh
What is it that
man.
grabs you?
So like I think naturally humans when we look at anything we want to ask well naturally we come up with the why questions and how questions. And I think when it comes to the human mind, evolutionary psychology has the answer to the whys and hows of human mind, right? I mean obviously, right? Because like I mean how did we get here? Why did we get here? Um and I think like okay, well I mean, through my own psychology studies, I found that a lot of the answers that I was looking for led to evolutionary psychology, anyways. So I'm just like, okay, I'm might as well just start there then, right? Like if the question is gonna end in an evolutionary answer, or the one I um enjoy the most or I think is the most insightful is an evolutionary answer. I mean, I might as well just stick my nose in that.
I'd probably say that different, as in saying that when we come up with an answer that goes back into deep time and still answers and is still relevant, that you kind of know that you're closer to something truthful and useful
Yeah,
Hmm.
for people.
yeah. And evolutionary psychology too is one of the most multifaceted like areas of psychology too, because you can't ignore social psychology when studying evolutionary psychology. You can't ignore anthropology. You can't ignore biology. You can't ignore like yeah, like neuroscience. You can't ignore cognitive psychology. Like it is like the coolest one because it's all inclusive for all the fields. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it because evolutionary psychology is the one that shows us that we're supposed to be the way we are. We're built to be like this. And
Yeah.
then it fits in with everything else. Like Freud, he's like, something's wrong with all of us. You need to spend your whole life trying to figure it out and then die.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, it hasn't served humanity.
So and that's actually funny because evolutionary psychology, I think at first was understood to be like very atheistic, very sacrilegious, right? Um, but now it's like the field that, if anything, supports a lot of spiritual insight or spiritual claims, right? Um, I mean, evolutionary psychologists, to my understanding, it's a lot of them are like have are interested in mysticism or just yeah, human spirituality as well, right? Because it's part of us as well, right? Or just we're meaning making systems. So a lot of our meaning makings are like yeah have to do with religion or inevitably will be about something spiritual, something beyond ourselves, mind, body, self.
Yeah, maybe it's the one that doesn't separate that,
What do you
that
mean?
allows the whole thing to be there.
Whoa, what do you mean?
Um, like so many like therapies and stuff are
Mm,
very dry. They're trying to fix your mind,
mm,
whereas there's really a bigger picture.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so evolutionary psychology allows that whole bigger picture. Jalal's always telling me that all his professors are mystics.
Yeah,
I want to meet them.
I know.
Interesting.
Bro, it's
Hmm.
I think like majority of psychologists, researchers just are now. I mean, if they're not, they're just you have to do a lot of denying and a lot of denial. And I'm not saying like anything with like believing in a god or anything, right? It just I don't think mysticism has anything to do with that or has to do with that. But just, kind of something quote unquote mystical may be happening beyond our own default state of consciousness.
Or
Yeah,
maybe there's a whole lot more of our brain than just that little thinking, defining, cognitive part of it.
I like that. I like that. I like you put it like that. Yeah.
Jalal, did I ever tell you that my brother is a physicist? And when he got his master's degree in physics, he's sitting in class and the professor's like teaching whatever. And he just like stops and goes, if any of you think you're understanding this, you're missing the point.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. There's that reflects what was it called? There's like that curve. I forget it. Is something curve in science. There's like this understanding curve. I'm totally forgetting the label. But
It'll
it's
come
like
to me after we hang up. Yeah.
yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but that's kind of what happens in the dance circle too, is that you have all these different people and you don't know who they are, or sometimes even their name, unless Robin gives us a name tag, and
Which helps.
that helps. But everybody steps in, and then the music itself turns us into this one being moving together. And when it's working really, really well, the dance leader kind of just gets it started and then just lets it go, which makes Michael's fingers get really, really sore.
It's a,
It's
it's a
15 minutes.
very enjoyable experience.
What guitar do you play?
What guitar? Yeah, my normal guitar is a Martin. I got a D28. When I travel, I don't bring the Martin with me,
Okay.
but it's it's just a regular dreadnought, acoustic dreadnought guitar.
Nice.
I have a number of guitars, had many guitars in my life, and I found that I pretty much gravitate to just this guitar.
Nice.
All the others sit in their cases,
Jalal is also a musician and a guitar player, and I am going to get him to a dance one of these days.
Oh yeah. I'm coming up soon.
Yeah, getting
I'm
towards.
in my last term for my undergrad right now, so almost like yeah. I basically have like a month and a bit left. After that, I'm planning to come to America too. So
Did you look at the schedule on my dance website?
not yet.
Yeah. So we will be dancing in Salmon, Idaho in June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then we'll be dancing in Lava Hot Springs in July,
Okay.
and we'll be dancing in Hamilton, Montana in September. And who knows, I might throw something else in between those. It's
Nice.
kind of once we get dancing, then people show up and they're like, "Oh, come here." And so then we go and do one there, and then yeah, so our goal is to we have this 30-foot tent, and our goal is to be able to just go around and around and around and around everywhere, just
Nice.
dancing everywhere whenever the weather's good.
Yeah, I think most likely I might be in. I'm wanting to see Idaho for like around that time anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I'm making a wild guess that you're going to have to actually earn some money at some point.
Yeah. I'm also saving up quite a bit too.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like financial stuff, I mean my plan A is just I have some ideas for making money online, right, while I'm traveling. So yeah.
That'd be cool. You like doing physical stuff, and if you want to come to Salmon, I can try to get you onto one of the river running companies.
Yeah, you
I
mentioned that.
that. Yeah. So I can give you some names. The thing is that you end up pretty busy on the river, but I mean, that's like the best life.
I'm
Awesome.
honestly, I'm so interested.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm definitely, yeah, we're gonna talk about that
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you got to take care of a lot of like weird rich people who want to go on the river.
more.
But you get to hang out with some really good people. So, Michael, I live in Salmon, Idaho. It's right on the Salmon River, which goes from Idaho and then down and then into the Columbia and off to the Pacific. And it is one of the few wild and scenic rivers left in the United States. It's actually protected by Congress, which
Oh, okay.
means nobody can build a dam on it, on the
Okay.
actual Salmon River. So we actually have natural water flow. When you have a dam on a river,
Yeah.
they hold the water and then they let it out and then hold it and let it out. So weird things can happen to the water levels. But we have, so our river's pretty popular. It's got some good white water in it too, which is fun.
Recreational. So is it
Yeah.
a lot of kayakers in
Yeah,
there?
yeah. Probably more river rafters, rubber
Mhm.
boats,
Oh
because
yeah.
it's a little
Yeah.
wild for kayaking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a big calm river. It's a kind of so that would be fun. Yeah, mix these two things together, and then you can evolutionarily psychologize us.
Hopefully, man. I've been in school for, it feels like it was like it's been like 5 years now, but it feels like so much longer because I also didn't take breaks. Like
Hmm.
even in the like usually students take breaks in the spring, but I was always taking the spring term.
Hmm.
So oh, I can't wait.
You know, one thing that would be fun to do is kind of work on putting the two things together and, like write a book or something on uh, the psychology of the dance circle or not the psychology, but even the biology of it.
Mm,
They've done all sorts of things where they've hooked musicians up to little nodes and stuff. And then as they
yeah.
all play, their heartbeats all start going together. And yeah, and then it would be so cool to be able to measure people's stress levels before and after.
Yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
I bet there's like totally biological changes in people
Mm-hmm.
by the,
100%.
yeah, yeah.
I I I didn't have anything hooked to me, but I can definitely say it was very restorative and
Restorative. Okay.
very good for my nervous system.
Mm.
Um, just that camp was
Hmm.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because when people ask me, "Oh, how'd you get into spirituality, uh, non-duality, whatever it may be?" I mean, like I guess through a lot of things, but one of them is just like mental health benefits, like just health benefits in general, right? Because I mean, they're always promoting that. I remember this one video you made, and you're just like, "End of suffering." Well, that's a good commercial, right? And I'm just like, "Oh my
Come
God,
on
that
in.
it's so good, right?" It's just I mean, yeah, right. Like it's I guess you can say, there is an all-inclusive theme going on with a lot of spiritual stuff. So, and I mean, body, mind, health, right, is definitely included.
Yeah.
And I've been a bit greedy for it.
Uh-huh. And we're at a point where we just need to start doing things differently, like
Mm.
dramatically differently. We don't have time for the slow arc of improvement. And what's happened? It's-
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes you
That's what
think we're going
I
downhill.
yeah.
wonder. Is it because they tried to speed up the change? And I don't know.
Or maybe it's just kind of the way things happen,
Mm.
people feeling threatened and well, like you were talking about you just did a bunch of classes on power.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and here we have someone new, maybe joining us.
Bojraj Panchu.
Oh, see, you even know how to say it.
No, I mean, I'm butchering it.
Hello. Speak to us if you want, whoever you are. We've had a few bombers before too, so I'm actually going to mute this person and stand by just in case something odd happens. So meanwhile, yeah, tell us about your classes, Jalal.
uh, yeah. Well, it was actually a negotiation class that power was influence and power was brought up, and yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's actually one of the emotions that I think is so valued in the West, or at least dynamics that are so valued in the West is like power and influence, right? Um, just to power and influence is what allows us to change others, right, or our environment. Um, and a lot of it is dependent on the other person's perception of another person's. Like, for example, if I want to exert power and influence, it's highly dependent on what other people perceive me as. If people perceive me as powerful and influential, right? And there's a bunch of different things I can do to increase my people's perceptions of my power and influence. I can dress up as many different things. I can act as many different things, and I mean, it works, right? For a lot of different reasons, it works. Um, but I was thinking, I was like, oh, I think one of the reasons why Zareen or a lot of people aren't so open with Zareen's message or open to Zareen as a teacher is because she's not really wearing the same costumes a lot of people wear. A lot of people with quote unquote spiritual power and influence wear. Or she also doesn't align with the personalities that a lot of people, spiritual people with spiritual power and influence, behave. She doesn't behave like that. So yeah, I mean, that affects her power and influence.
Right, right. I don't have a very good spiritual aura.
No, there you go. Well, I mean,
So
yeah, you're going.
one thing I'm interested in is so everything that I read about the all this native wisdom that's coming in now, Tyson Yungapura and Tiokasin, Ghost Horse, and all these people, they say that native societies were very anti-hierarchical. And
Yeah.
yeah, and they actually were able to run their systems without hierarchy. And
Oh,
that
wow.
you actually have to uh, be on guard against hierarchy coming in and have all sorts of systems and beliefs and practices in place so that people without hierarchy can step in and do the things that need to be done. And so that people can come together in ways where they can discuss and figure out what needs to be done.
That is so interesting.
Yeah,
I'm so interested. How does that work?
yeah,
Just
I am so they are so insistent
yeah.
on it.
Well, because here's the thing, right? I mean, just comparing it to Western culture, we live in a very, I mean, we value social hierarchy like a lot.
Oh yeah, starting at the family,
Yeah, huge.
right?
Well, like I mean, there's even cool studies measuring like people's happiness and well-being and where people place themselves or where people see themselves on the social hierarchy in like Western culture, like dictates people's happiness and well-being by a lot, right? People
Right.
with $10 million are more happier than people with $1 million. right? It's like
Actually,
in,
I read a study that it's $1.5 million is the sweet pot spot.
oh my God, it's crazy. It's crazy. And that's not, it's not the number that's making people happy, right? Like there's an implicit social thing there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But all these native voices are just insistent. The Lakota Nation, when I went up to that
Dakota
conference up
Nation.
there, yeah, they are just insistently against hierarchy. Like
Mm,
Tyson Yungapura says that there's a saying, of course I can't say it, in Aboriginal language, but it's basically, and it's a very common saying, like, we're like, hi, how are you? And they just constantly say, you're not the boss of me.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
it's not it's not in the narcissistic tone that like a Westerner would say it in.
would say it. Yeah, it's just like you're not the boss of me. It's like, but I am the master of myself at the same
Yeah,
time. Just like a small child
yeah.
acting out. And I know that for me, I just have a inner aversion to hierarchy. And for so many reasons, because I watch hierarchy, well, from the bottom
Yeah.
always. All right.
And that's, I honestly, like, I think we all do. And I think that's the reason why, I mean, with valuing a hierarchical system comes pain, like inevitably, right? Because you're gonna fall short. And I think
Yes.
that
Yes.
pain is a sign that deep down, like, we do have an aversion to it. It doesn't reflect our nature. Like, comparison in these ways is just such a
Right, because the
that.
result is always an inferiority complex.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally can't be good enough,
No.
you know? And
No.
and the ones that get up and are good enough just hold on to that. And so what I see is so many people's gifts being missed
Mm.
because of the hierarchies.
Yeah. And like, yeah, man, it's crazy because it's one of the things I'm still interested in. Like, how does an individual living in the West, in the mix of Western culture, how do they live without participating to some extent, like in this stuff?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
it's hard.
the hippies tried.
Yeah, that was like the first like version of like Western monks were the hippies.
Western monks with drugs and sex.
Yeah, I love it.
Michael's sitting there going, "What is this?" We go everywhere in our YouTube.
Oh yeah, no, there's no structure.
No.
Even when we try to have structure, it's so bad.
Well, you did good last time. You had some questions.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the questions, but when we can just let the conversation go.
No, let's have a question. Maybe
Well,
we can get
Michael,
to ask a question.
do you have any questions?
Well, I would challenge a couple of earlier statements
Okay.
about hierarchy and happiness. There are many of us who do not subscribe to the idea of hierarchy and find that many systems work very well without hierarchy,
Ah,
and that people who need hierarchy can come and disrupt very good working systems. That's my coming from my experience and my belief.
give us some examples.
Um, well, mm, oh, I'm not gonna come up with it. It depends. There are different kinds of leaders, and leaders who need to be in charge and need to be have everybody look up to them. And then there are leaders who are cooperative and supportive. Very different kind of approach. I wouldn't say that, you know, you can call them a leader, but they're not a leader in the hierarchical sense. They're more like facilitators and guides, and they bring that out in the people around them too. That, you know, I can't give you a good example of
That,
something will come to me sooner or later.
that makes me think of, remember that one dance that I led where we couldn't get two circles together? And so I had the outside circle and then I get Mark on the inside circle. And rather than having a big circle, and so the thing is everybody in the outside circle, as more people came and wanted to dance, the outside circle would open up and bring people in. And they constantly paid attention to how many people were in the circle and how it needed to be adjusted and stuff like that. And so the dance itself, it's like every single person, it wasn't just me leading it. Every single
Yeah.
person in the dance was involved in making this thing happen. And
Everybody's a part of it. Everybody has an influence on it.
Right.
And everybody's looking out for the best interest of
everybody. And everybody felt it and knew it too. It's not like it just happened
right.
mystically. It like just happened. And man, we just opened up a portal in the sky and went through. It was oh, here we have Baraji. Hello.
Pancho. Hello.
Say your name.
Pancho.
Pancho. Welcome.
I am from Mauritius.
Did you say Budapest?
No, Mauritius. Mauritius.
Mauritius.
Yeah.
Is that a place?
Yeah.
An island.
Jalal would know.
Yeah. That's cool. So Caribbeans. Right? Mauritius is in the Caribbean.
No. No, it is, if you want, it is between Madagascar and Australia. Middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you are the perfect person for this conversation then.
About the hierarchy, I can give an example. In South Africa, when the white were leading the country, everything was okay. But when the black took power, then everything crumbles, because what they do, for example, I have a relative in South Africa. This is how they work. Suppose in a hotel, the door handle is broken. The entrance, the main entrance, the door handle is broken. and how they solve the problem? they take the door handle of another room, of another door.
They moved the problem. Yeah.
So you're saying that when the hierarchy fell down, things fell apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense, because I think living without hierarchy is a very advanced skill. It would have to be. And if we don't have that skill,
participation from everyone, obviously, right?
Because even just something as simple as a doorknob, right? I mean, somebody has to step in there and figure it out. And well, somebody did. They just went and took a different doorknob. But yeah. Well, and so that's really interesting to think about, because, we were talking about the hippies a little while ago. What we tried to do was just throw away hierarchy, but without any responsibility or skills in living without hierarchy, right? Yeah.
I think you would still need people everybody specializes and everybody has skills. Would still need to
Everyone
bring.
would have skills, and we would have. So one of the things that Tyson Yungapura says is that in a society without hierarchy, it takes really a long time
Mm.
to work things through.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but like living back in the wilds of Australia before the white man came, right? They had plenty of time to work on whatever problem there was. So, how do we slow down enough to give ourselves the time to change the things that need to be changed without
Mm.
and still have a doorknob?
Mm.
So maybe that's where evolutionary psychology will end up going. Like, how do you actually take people living in this crazy society that we're in, that we've adapted sort of to, and work us into something different?
Mm.
Throwing a bunch of 20-year-olds into a commune isn't the answer. There's only one place that worked, and that's the farm
Yeah,
in Tennessee.
yeah. I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, when I think of like solutions, right? Uh, I don't think of solutions because solutions are just they're based off ideals, right? And it's just like it almost looks like a bigger project than I mean I can ever do, or that one human being themselves alone can ever do.
That
When
nails
I
it.
think of solutions, I think of starting at the individual level, right? Like for example, like when I read Krishnamurti and stuff, right? He was obviously aware of like Western society's problems and stuff, but nowhere in his readings or his lectures would you find him offer a solution other than the change within, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, the only thing I can do is what I can do, right? And it's just like, okay, when that becomes effective and when I become aware of myself, my own capacities, and I'm free to some extent, that's when that stuff becomes contagious. Like, right, Krishnamurti was just like when you change, the world changes. And that makes sense. It's just like it has a contagious effect, right? Like when I start smelling good, other people around me go, "Oh, what's that?" Right? So I mean, there's just that, right? When I become a full human being, or anyone, right? Like that's what I mean, right? It's just like there's this contagious effect, right? And because, like, I mean, having a system where there's no hierarchical system like that takes participation from everyone in the society, obviously,
Right.
and people will only participate when they see the value of that. And people will only see the value of that when they themselves change, right? So,
Well, Osho was always saying the same thing too, is that we don't need a new system because just you have the same old people, the revolutionaries take over. Well, Pancho described that really great. It's
mm,
like they get rid of the white hierarchy, and then, eventually you just end up with another hierarchy that's even
yeah,
lower,
exactly.
right? Right.
And
So
so, and so,
same the same consciousness trying to solve the problem.
yeah, interesting. So that's the thing. It's like, like humans will figure it out as we do, right? I mean, but the thing is, it's just I guess the focus really just needs to be on raising awareness of who we are, and that's what's happening in time.
And I think we need to add deep time into it too. Deep time back and deep time forward. Because the way we are, the way we're trained is that everything's a commodity, right? We
Mm,
want it right now and we want it finished. But what if we think of this, maybe we have to go towards a hierarchical society, but you and I can never be there.
yeah.
But we can start working so that maybe 3 generations
Yes.
they can start living in that, or we can just keep perpetuating the hierarchy the way it
Yeah.
is.
Like whatever ends up working, hopefully, right? Like,
We
I'm
always have to let go, let go, let go, because this isn't for me,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
To to solve. But we can occasionally get together and dance in a circle. While we sort it all out.
And maybe that's how we do sort it out, right?
Maybe that's how we sort it out. Yeah.
Implicitly. I mean, that's the thing. It's just like when we think of solutions, we're thinking of explicit solutions, things that are easily can look like they're easily correlated with the problem. But I mean, it's interesting, right? It's sometimes the solution always comes implicitly. Like I'm sure, like there's like all this trend in medicine that always happens where they find the cure to a disease accidentally. So like let's say they're looking at like I don't know, like vitamin increases or whatever, and then through that they find like a cure to hair loss, right? Or
Right.
they find like a cure to like some other completely different thing. It's like the solution sometimes comes up like implicitly, non-directly.
I think it would almost have to be.
Yeah, because if we knew the explicit solution, we'd do it, right? That too.
Right. And there can't be just a fixed solution. I think that's the problem with
Mm,
politics, right? Is
mhm.
everybody's like, my solution, and then they get in and then they have to stick to that
Yeah,
when it's obviously not working.
yeah, yeah. So systems. I mean,
Well, so consciousness, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. Without the new consciousness, we just keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
Yeah.
Hmm.
When you're using consciousness right now, how are you using
I don't know.
it? So that because
Oh,
I was curious because there is a certain areas of science that have this thing called like global consciousness project and stuff. I think
right.
um and it's based on this idea that we're all connected in consciousness, right?
Right.
I don't know, I didn't really look at it too much and I'm just like, oh, is that how you're using it?
So, I just can't think of anything other than the solution is knowing who you are. If you don't know who you are, then you're stuck in all these fantasies
Mm-hmm.
of what's going on, and that's what Krishnamurti said, and that's what all the native leaders say too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know who you are, then how can you figure out how you fit in? And
Mm-hmm.
if you can't figure out how you fit in, how do you work with other people? And if you're trying to work with other people who don't know who they are, nobody can fit together. So
Mm-hmm.
so
There you
unless
go.
you actually have, and the thing about that is because knowing who you are, you find out you're nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You're not like some fixed thing that has edges anywhere. So it's like you just finished saying that global consciousness, everything is connected in a bigger way than our little mind can even imagine. And knowing who you are is the great humility. It's the great humbler,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of why I can't put on any spiritual airs.
Mm-hmm.
And I always fail looking spiritual because I just start laughing. I did a little class down at Puerto Morales, and Wayne was listening to it, and he said, "You know, you laugh way too much."
Oh my gosh.
Funny. And he says, "Nobody takes you seriously." I'm like, "Well, I don't either." So, so and and I think that, that's kind of knowing who you are. You're able to laugh at yourself.
Mm,
It's like, here I am.
mm,
I'm just this thing, and you never see him doing that in the White House.
yeah.
Just having a good laugh.
Love it.
So that's what I mean by consciousness, really, is knowing who you are, because that then is the connection to everything,
Mm.
is the only way I can think to describe it. Who else wants to give a shot?
I
Oh,
wish to
yes.
give
Yeah.
to add something. What is hearing all these voices? This is what consciousness is.
Uh-huh. Like, who is hearing the voices?
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
That which is aware of the sense perception and aware of the thoughts, that is a consciousness, impersonal consciousness, and it is not personal. Panchu is hearing these words, but what is hearing these words in Panchu is impersonal consciousness. So it is the same consciousness in everyone. Everyone.
And everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
Everything.
no edges to it, right?
Yeah, no edges, yeah.
Yeah,
Only one
so
consciousness. Only one consciousness.
right. And here we are on other sides of the planet, right? And I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wonder if that's where it breaks down into the mystical then, when it's impossible to describe.
Mm.
Because the only part of you, but the big part of our brains gets it.
Mm.
Like when Pancho says, the part of me that hears, I get that.
Yeah. What I have done is I have intellectually explained it, but I do not I have not experienced it.
Mm.
Right.
It is another thing to experience it. This is intellectual understanding, but to experience consciousness is another thing. I can explain it intellectually, but I don't know consciousness, this impersonal consciousness. I am not aware of it.
I have to point out
You do.
he's
You
laughing
do.
while he says this.
Yeah, you're not allowed to laugh.
Yeah, no, yeah, very good, very good.
Well, Zareen would probably say, you are experiencing it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not something that it's not here, right? But I mean, who the hell knows what she means by that? I don't even know.
Did I say that? Well, Pancho, do you exist?
Of course. Of
Yes.
course.
Exactly. Sometimes in non-duality, people get into this like nothing is real and nothing exists and everything is illusion, and it's really hard to talk people out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I stopped doing all that stuff because it's just not helpful. I mean, I don't get anywhere.
Right.
Personally, I haven't gotten anywhere. But Yeah, I think it is.
But like there was no hesitation at all, you know, Pancho, do you exist?
Mm.
Yes. Yes, he does.
I
Well,
wish to.
people can understand that as existing as mind and body, right? And mind and body alone. Right?
No,
The you in question is sometimes understood as that.
we're
Right?
waiting for you, Pancho.
I wish. I wish to talk about only one thing that for me, I not resolve in non-duality, not resolve. All things resolve in a way, but only one thing not resolve. It is about what happens after death. What happens after death?
Oh,
This. Would you like to discuss on this?
yeah, I'm sure. You know, I think so. We did this class down in Puerto Morales, and it was really good. I had some really good people in there, and we were kind of talking about the stories that our society teaches children. And one of them is about death, right? And this one girl, Chris, and she's just like listening to this discussion. She goes, you know, that's child abuse. The way that we teach children about spirituality because it completely divides people. So ever since we're very, very small, we're asked to think, where do you go after death? So that question right there takes a person and turns them into two different things.
Mm.
One thing that can die and one thing that can be
Continue.
after. Yeah, Michael, say
Continue. Yeah.
continue.
Yeah.
Right, right. And so the second you divide yourself, then there's no solution because all of a sudden you don't know who you are. Which one are you? Are you the one that's alive or are you the thing that continues? And so then you spend your whole life trying to find this thing inside of yourself that's going to continue. That's child abuse. That's adult abuse to divide us like that. And so, if you try to find that thing that continues after death, you can't find it because the one that's trying to find it is the it that's trying to find it.
Mm.
It's like looking for your glasses.
Right? Yeah. Where's my glasses? I can't find them.
Mhm.
Right? And so so maybe the question is a better question. Instead of what happens to you when you die, it's like, when you die, are you still divided? Or do you become undivided?
Was there any division to begin with?
Well, there isn't. But maybe that's a better way to, you know, our brains, we really want to try to imagine, you know, death, what happens.
Mm.
But then you're undivided. You're
There,
undivided from everything. You're melting into the earth, right? You're letting off carbon and going into the atmosphere, and there's no pieces of you that then are divided from anything
mm.
when you're dead. So with that,
There was a story, a Sufi story. I think it was like a guy goes up and was like, "Are you Sufi?" And it's just like, "Yeah." And it's like, "Oh, well, what happens after we die?" And the Sufi was just like, "I don't know." And then he was like, "Well, what do you mean you don't know? Like, aren't you a Sufi?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm a Sufi. I'm just not a dead one."
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, our bodies, I think we definitely know what our bodies do, right, after death, right?
Uh-huh.
So there's that.
Yeah, so is there something separate that can then go do something else? Well, that means you have to, so you've just divided yourself. Now you're two things.
Where were you before you were born?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. We like to compartmentalize so many things and separate things.
Hmm.
Separate our mind from our body, separate our body from the earth. All these different ways of looking at ourselves, separating our minds from the earth, where we separating humanity from thinking that we can live without the earth. I don't know why I think it's our nature to do that.
It's funny when you say that. It makes me think that we're taught to be such consumers. And so we've been taught that this is not enough.
yeah,
This thing that I am is not enough. And so,
it's very
therefore,
unfortunate.
when I die, something better has to happen, or something worser has to happen, because this thing here is not enough. And isn't
Yeah.
that back to what you were talking about, the inferiority complex? That's just a basic given
Yeah.
from the way that we're taught to be human beings. And these native teachers say that's not the natural. The natural way is to not live with that inferiority complex. Instead, you live with a connectivity complex.
I like that. I like that.
A relationship context, all my relations context. We have a few people that are chatting with us. Basically, they're just saying hi.
Nice.
Hi, everyone. Yeah. So guess what? It's 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Oh,
could
it's
just.
5 o'clock actually.
Oh, it's
Your
5 o'clock.
time. Yeah.
Pardon me.
For me, it is 2 a.m.
2
Oh,
a.m.
Yeah,
we're sorry. You should be asleep.
yeah.
But thanks, guys, for this wonderful topicless chat where we
Nice
ended.
meeting you guys. Nice meeting you, Michael. Nice meeting you, Pancho.
Nice
We'll
meeting
do it
you.
again. I don't do it on schedule. Every once in a while, Jalal will just say, "Hey, we should talk," or I'll say, "Hey, we should talk." We just throw it together and do it. Maybe we'll do it more regularly, but that would require doing it.
Maybe I'll come to Idaho soon, and
Come
then
to
we'll
Idaho.
do some stuff. So,
Yeah, come to Idaho. Let's do some dancing.
hell
Yeah,
yeah.
in June. So, okay, guys, and to all of our chatty people, we have Andy and Dominic and Jeff. Until we meet again.
See you guys.
Thank you, Connie.
You bet. Adios.